welcome to another episode of Wow You Can Cook. And today you are cooking a Portobello steak au poivre. And maybe some
Poivre.
cauliflower steak.
Poivre.
I said it wrong. Oh, well.
Poivre.
No, you said it right, Tracy.
So anyways, welcome everyone. Welcome, Dr. Gloria.
Thank you. Good morning. Did everybody have a good long weekend?
Yes.
Yep. Long.
Yes, yes. Tracy, say it again because you said it correct.
Poivre.
Yeah.
Poivre.
Yeah, you don't pronounce the E, so
Okay,
that's a
Lord.
correct.
It's
But
poivre.
it's really hard. It's hard.
Poivre.
I mean, I spoke French when I was little, but it's really hard because when you don't practice it, you
Right.
lose it. So that's a good pronunciation, Tracy. Good job.
Okay.
Okay, so are we ready for me to ask some questions?
Go ahead. It's all you.
Okay, how many of you are you all cooking? All four of you are all cooking the mushroom, the portobellos, or are you doing cauliflower steaks?
Doing both.
Both. That figures. That's
Wow.
Magda doing both. Okay, Linda,
Mushroom?
mushroom. Okay, Sandy.
Portobello.
Okay, and Jill.
Portobello.
Okay, so the nice part is that Magda's doing both, so she can show us. They're really good with cauliflower. For anybody that can't do mushroom or doesn't want to do mushroom. So thank you. That was good. That wasn't even pre-planned, Magda. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so the one thing that is the most important is, at least in the area where I am, I cannot get portobellos all year. So sometimes you can get the baby bells, sometimes you can't get them at all. So just remember that this is to replace, quote, what would be like a steak, okay? If somebody wants a nice hearty main dish like you would have a steak, but you don't want the meat, or you choose to just have the mushroom, that's fine. If you can't find it during a certain time, I've done it with, like I was telling Lori, I've done it with chicken, with roasted chicken, cut up the pieces, put in the mushrooms with it in the pan, and then serve the sauce over it. So that's another option if you can't find the mushrooms, because I can't get them all year. So I don't know. I know that a couple of you are in California. You could probably get them all year, but here I can't. So, okay. So let's see, what is she doing? She's pouring her olive oil. So the first thing you're going to do is take your mushrooms, and I said 4 portobello, but you may not have 4. That's okay. And does everybody know what the gill is?
Yes.
The Gill? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Those are the
Lori
pieces
doesn't know.
inside, right?
Yeah, they look like little, I call them fins.
Yes.
Lori, you know the little inside, little funny things that are inside the mushroom? That's what a gill is. Okay. And I know somebody thought that I had misspelled it, and I was going to say grill, and said, I think you meant grill. And I said, no, it's gill. And they didn't know what a gill was. So I thought that was pretty funny. I had a good laugh over that one. So a gill is the little funny, I don't know, spurs, little hairs, whatever you want to call it, on the inside that are usually little lines, okay, like little membranes. That's really what it is, a membrane in the mushroom. So then you're going to use your oil of choice. So
Wait, hold on. Look at Jill's pointing to it. So you have to
Where is
take
she?
that out. Did you already take it out?
I've taken them out of 2, but I still had 2 others. I'm only going to cook 2 today.
Can you
So-
show
Okay.
the difference between one that's out and one that's not out?
Absolutely.
oh, that's a great idea.
Yes,
Yes.
I've never,
I-
I've never taken them out before.
I hadn't either.
Yeah,
Was it
see the
hard?
difference?
And it's really kind of nice because you can see the hollow,
Yep.
and then you can
And-
see the full with the stem. You know, and I wanted to share that my ex-mother-in-law, we used to core cabbage and stuff it for St. Patrick's Day. And she had
Oh.
a Warren silver spoon, and it's so thin. And you can find them usually at thrift stores and antique stores. Get yourself a good silver spoon that's well worn. I mean, it's worn out.
Wow, what a great
But they're
idea.
sharp. And they carve
Yeah.
that out so well. So I wanted to share that with everyone today.
Thank you. That's a great tip. And just what Jill was saying, and thanks, Tracy, for bringing that up, because the flavor's completely different. So for instance, if you want to cook the 2 of them, Jill, that you took the gills out, Hi, France. Welcome. And then the other two mushrooms you want to cook with the gills, you'll see the difference. The flavor's completely different. It gets a much deeper, I call it earthier flavor. You know how some foods have an earthy flavor, like some teas do. And they have an earthier flavor if you don't take the gills out. So, hi, Judy. So it's important that I think that you try it, at least one mushroom without removing all the little gills on the inside. And then the others you can remove and see which way you like it better. I have people that like it with the gills. I don't like that real deep, earthy flavor. Okay. So that's good, Jill. Thank you. That's a great tip. Now you're going to take those mushrooms with your oil that you're heating. And I said a 1/4 cup because if the mushroom is big, you want to make sure that you're able to brown it. Remember, you're not browning it or caramelizing it like onions, but you're going to brown it enough. And so you're going to start out with the mushrooms with plenty of oil. So adjust the oil. If you're only doing, 1 mushroom versus 4, just adjust it so that you can literally get a nice brown crust on the mushrooms. Put in a lot of cracked pepper. And I have to admit, I didn't use cracked pepper a lot. I have trouble with my hand. And so all of the spice grinders that I had were something that I just couldn't do. And I was too lazy many times to get out the electric coffee grinder, which I use for that. So I have an ergonomic one. I still didn't like it. Well, when Brian started prepping for me for my other show that I had before, he only used the pepper grinder, and it makes such a difference, especially if you're going to encrust something, a piece of fish, a piece of salmon, a piece of chicken. It makes, Tracy, have you found that when you grind the peppercorns, it's a whole different flavor? Have you tasted the difference?
I don't usually grind peppercorns, so
Okay, see, I have to because I can't chew the peppercorns. And it's usually better in a dish if it's ground so that you're not eating chunks, hard chunks of pepper. But if you haven't tried, we just buy the generic in Texas, the HEB brand peppercorns. They're a multi-rainbow, and you can also get them just black. Try it because it's amazing. And if you have a coffee grinder or a spice grinder, go ahead and grind it as you're using it. We've done it where we grind a bunch ahead of time. It's not the same. The aroma and the flavor is so strong. It's amazing. So this is what we do with this one. We use the peppercorns that are freshly ground, if you have them, and if you have a way to grind them, so that you get that good incrustation on it. And you're going to cook them, probably, I'm going to say 3 to 6 minutes at the most. So make sure that you've got a very heavy skillet, heavy bottom skillet if you can. Cast iron works great. Ceramic coated works great. He's showing us, bless his heart, he hasn't left for therapy yet. This is the one that we finally got because
put it in front of your face.
Okay, it's a ratchet so that I don't have to twist because my hand won't twist. And so when you have things in, watch.
Put it in front of your face. Okay.
You just go back and forth. It's a little ratchet, like you've got a ratchet wrench, and you just go back and forth. It's on Amazon, and it's amazing because then it doesn't hurt my hand. So now I can grind it, and you can adjust the fineness, can't you? Yeah, I've got pepper all over me. You didn't tell me it had pepper, dear heart. So it's a ratchet.
She's going to be sneezing. She's going to be sneezing.
Yes, I will. It's really strong. But it's a ratchet. And that was the solution for somebody without a strong grip, with carpal tunnel, with arthritis. It's really a good way to do it. And it does it very fast. And you can adjust the grind. Okay, so that's Amazon. And if you want it, I can get you the link later. Knowing Tracy, she'll find the link before I stop talking. But it's called a ratchet pepper mill or pepper grinder. Okay. So are all of you in the process right now of putting your mushrooms in?
Yes.
Yes, Jill?
I think
Magda?
my oil's hot enough. I didn't have it hot yet, so it should be hot right now.
It doesn't get as hot in high altitude, does it?
No, but I'm using my cast iron skillet today, which I love to do, so.
Good. Okay, Sandy, do you have your mushroom cooking, hon?
Yes, it is.
Now, do you
Okay,
put your
and-
crown down or up? Do you have a preference as to how we place the mushroom and?
Usually it's better to start with the part where you took the gill out on the bottom.
Okay,
You said
But
on the
people
top.
do it
Wait, your recipe says
on the top.
it says add the mushrooms, grill side up, gill side up.
Yeah.
Then sear until the underside is brown and the gill side looks wet, 3 to 6 minutes. Flip and cook until golden and the pepper is fragrant, 2 to 4 minutes.
Okay, so follow the recipe. I was going to say something else, but that's okay. We've already corrected that. So
You
So go
also
ahead
said
and put
that
your-
the mushrooms needed to be brushed with oil.
yes, with usually a garlic oil. So you can crush garlic, put it in. I don't know if you make oil ahead of time like we do. Crush garlic, put it in oil. You can stick it in the refrigerator. You don't leave it out because it'll form mold.
But it doesn't.
So
say
make sure
that.
that they're brushed, we were waiting for the pans to get hot enough.
Yeah, step 1 says gently brush the mushroom with plenty of oil, then sprinkle the cracked pepper evenly over the gill sides.
So the main thing was to have enough oil so that you're able to really get it lightly browned. You don't want it caramelized. You want it lightly browned until it looks wet, until the other side is browned and wet. It will look wet. The water comes out of the mushroom. It really does get wet. Maybe not wet like you poured water or broth on it, but it gets wet like shiny with moisture. And then once you get to that point, flip it until golden, and the pepper is real fragrant. So another 2 or 4 minutes. Now that depends on how much pepper you like. For those of you that like spicy things, Magda, I'm talking to you. If people like spicy things, you can just use, and Lori, you can go ahead and use more cracked pepper if you have cracked pepper, because you don't need to use anything that's spicy or a nightshade. But if you use white pepper, it almost gets too peppery. But if you use the whole ground pepper, you can just keep adding it, and it'll get so spicy that you can hardly eat it if you're not careful. So make sure you taste as you go. There's no rule as to how much. I like it peppery, but I don't want it to where my mouth is burning. Okay, so then I don't know where you're at. I don't want to get ahead of you like last time we did.
Mine are still cooking.
Okay, we'll just
Okay.
tell. So I did find that pepper grinder or whatever. It's the link is in
Ratchet,
that. Yeah. I
ratchet.
found it.
Yeah, thank you. Told
Thank
y'all she'd have it before I finished talking. Thank you, Tracy. And I don't remember what it cost. It wasn't terribly expensive, but it's so easy. I mean, you just go back and forth like a ratchet plumbing tool, that you're tightening something with. So it's very easy, and you don't have to be twisting the wrist or the hands or the fingers. If you can use your palm, you can ratchet it.
What about one of those little small coffee grind? I have one for spices and one for coffee.
So do I.
Can
I
you
have a
use
regular
that
coffee grinder.
with
Yeah, you
the-
can use that, absolutely. Yeah, you can use that. Just remember, Lori, that I mentioned, I think in one of the articles, if you're going to grind your spices in a coffee grinder, like I do, okay, like if I get rosemary, thyme, all of that, I don't like the little pieces of like sticks, of the hard herb in the food. So I grind it in a coffee grinder, but mark them. Never mix your coffee in the same,
I have
blend
2
your
of them.
coffee in the same grinder. Yeah, so do I. Because otherwise you'll never get the flavor of the coffee out of there. I don't care if it's stainless steel or if you wash
Yeah.
it. So I just waited until they were on sales, several years ago at Walmart for like $9.95, and I got an extra one and marked it with a piece of tape just for spices and herbs. So Judy, you were shaking your head. Have you made that mistake? Ground things with the coffee? Yeah. And you can't get the flavor of the coffee out, can you?
No.
No, it's awful. And you would think it's
oil.
stainless steel, you can wipe it, you can wash it. No, it's in there for some reason. So it's worth waiting till you can get a second one, and they're not expensive. And that way you just have one for each purpose.
Mhm.
But yes, to answer your question, Lori, you can do that. You can use the ratchet. We wanted to have something that was just pepper that we could do when we're prepping, that we could do it right over the food. That's why we got the ratchet one. And I do so much grinding that usually the grinder is busy with other spices. So
Mhm.
after everything gets fragrant, so you're now able to actually smell the aroma of the pepper, which is about 2 to 4 minutes, depending on your stove. It's going to take Jill longer. Yes, dear.
So are everyone else's making like this wonderful bubbling noise? Cause I did the crown first because I was like there. But when I flipped them, I can hear this gurgling noise, like it's steaming
That's the
them or
water.
something. It's fun. It sounds
No,
like a
that's
coffee
the-
pot percolator.
Yeah, that's the water coming out of the mushroom. I told you it comes out. There's a lot of water in a mushroom. People don't realize that, especially a portobello. And hers are really nice and large. So you're going to get water coming out. And when that happens, you want to make sure that fire stays a little bit hotter, but not enough to where you're going to burn it or sear it too much. But then you reduce the heat after it starts absorbing the water, Jill. Reduce the heat to a medium low.
I did
Okay.
that.
Okay, and you flip the mushroom already?
Yeah, it's cooked. I think they're done.
Okay, did you add butter and garlic?
I have not added my butter and garlic.
Okay, so when you get to the butter and garlic, it's really important, and put as much garlic as you like. I like a lot of it, so use whatever you happen to like. I like garlic and I like a lot of butter. Just had a conversation about butter this morning with Tracy. And by the way, Tracy, I did my butter.
Good. I love
So
my
we'll
butter
see.
so much.
Yeah, I
I've
do
made
too.
even
And
brown butter bites where you brown the butter and then you pour it in little molds and then keep them in the freezer. So when you want like something
Oh.
like a treat, you just take it. It's like a
Yeah.
half tablespoon or a teaspoon or a half a tablespoon, what, somewhere in between there. And you just let it melt on your tongue. And it's like my
I
new,
never thought of that.
I haven't had anything sweet. Like I've really avoided all the sweet stuff.
But this stuff you can do it. That's a good way to try it. I did do some this morning. We're experimenting. I'll share that with all of you later, but I'm having some real serious stomach issues and we need to add some fat to my stomach. So I just took a big gulp of the coconut oil first, and then right before breakfast, I had some butter, just organic butter, just a spoonful. So, and we'll let you know what happens later, but I've tried everything else and nothing has helped. And I have been in pain for days.
Hey,
So
but
we know
wait.
what it is.
But remember, we're going back. Like we're not just dealing with the pain, but what caused the pain and then what caused
No,
the
I know, but I don't want to
that.
go into all that now because then
Yeah.
there'll be questions and then we go
True.
into a whole other conversation.
We'll
But yes,
we'll
I've been
talk about it
having
when
some.
we fix it. How's that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. When we fix it, we'll talk about it and tell you what happened. Okay, so you've got the heat on a medium low. Tell me when your mushrooms have had the butter and the garlic added, and you could add a little bit of salt. Taste the fluid that comes out from the fat, from the water that's been expelled. Taste it gently. Be careful because it's really hot. And then you can add salt depending on your taste. How is it, Jill?
Yummy. It's really, really good.
Jill has a different issue because she's at a high altitude. So we always have to see, give her time to get hers done. Sandy, how you doing, hon?
I'm doing fine. It tastes good.
So are you ready to
She licks her
reduce the
fingers.
heat?
What?
Are you ready to reduce the heat? Are they browned?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
reducing your heat.
Yeah.
Okay, and you added the hold on.
Garlic.
You added the garlic and the butter, right?
Right.
Have you done that already? Okay, you've
Yeah.
done that. Magda, have you done that?
Yes, I did.
Jill or Linda?
Yes.
Okay, so are we ready to go on a little bit? Now, you have to decide, each of you, I'll tell you my preference. Do you want to make the sauce in the same pan? You can take the mushrooms out and make the sauce in the same pan, which is what I do, because I like all that water and those flavors that come out of the mushroom. It's very earthy. And you've got your butter and you've got your garlic and you've got whatever oil you use to cook it in. So take your mushrooms out when they're ready. You don't want them to overcook, because remember, mushrooms get rubbery if you overcook them. They shouldn't be rubbery. They should be nice and tender. Brown on the outside, tender on the inside. So, are you all gonna do it in the same skillet? Am I ahead of you?
Yes.
I'm ahead of you, or you're doing the same skillet? Which
Yeah.
is it? No, which is it?
Same
Same
skillet.
skillet. Okay, how about you, Magda, Linda,
Same skillet.
Sandy,
to have-
same skillet?
Yes.
Same
Okay, so
skillet.
take the mushrooms off so that we don't end up overcooking them. Put them on a plate. Don't put a paper towel to try to absorb it, because moisture will still continue to come out of the mushroom. So you don't want to dry that up, okay? So just put them on a plate. Don't try to absorb the grease or the oil or the butter, whatever you used. Okay, so now you're going to add, do you all have shallots?
Yep.
Yes.
Because I had down 2 large cloves of shallots, and you can add more if you want, finely chopped. You're going to add that to the same fat. Make sure you have enough butter or oil in there. Don't put them in dry. You want to keep them from scorching. Then you can add more garlic. If you have to tilt the skillet, if you don't have a lot. Last time I did them, I didn't have a lot of oil left. The mushrooms absorbed a lot, or the butter. So I had to tilt the skillet to get it. So you add the shallot and stir until it's softened. So it's much like a garlic. Remember, a shallot, for those of you that maybe didn't hear it in a previous show, a shallot the flavor is a combination of onion and garlic, which I love. Even if you make a scrambled egg or you make an omelet and you use that instead of onions and garlic, for instance, it gives it that nice flavor of garlic without being too pungent. So I love shallots. Now, sometimes you want the heavy onion flavor, but when you don't, make sure that you use shallots. So now you're going to keep stirring them. It's about 2 to 4 minutes again. Add a little more butter if you need it, like I said, or a little more oil that you're using. And stand back. Just like Jill was saying, the water came out. Trust me, I burned myself. Stand back, because the water that's in the skillet that came out of the mushroom is going to splatter. So don't, be looking right over it and adding everything, because you will get burned. And then you carefully, if you're using the cognac, or all of you using some cognac or some brandy of some kind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I have the previous alcoholic, and so remember I used ginger beer when we did like the Salisbury
you did.
steak, I think.
Okay, yes,
Or
it
something.
was.
And so I'm just using ginger beer to try it.
Okay, that's fine. But you've got other mushrooms you're going to cook later, right?
I do, and for me, I'm gonna make them with the brandy.
That's what I
I got
thought.
one left.
Okay, I would do that too. If you're not sure, if you don't want alcohol, remember it all cooks off, so you don't have alcohol at the end.
Remember, we looked
you
it
don't-
up and we found out that there was actually a lot left on it, even though they claim most of it cooked away. There was still quite a bit left in every article I read.
Well, it depends on the food. Depends on how much it absorbs, because when a food absorbs it a lot into the center, there's more alcohol content left. When it's cooked away on the outside of it, there isn't any left. So with mushrooms, I don't know. Since they're so full of water, maybe it will absorb more. But
might.
you're not using
Well,
that much. You're not using that much. So if you want to try ginger beer later, but if you have the cognac, do it with the regular recipe like the French do. So it's a 1/4 cup of cognac or any other brandy. And I think I mentioned to all of you, how's our time? We're okay. I mentioned to all of you previously that there's one of those big, I call it a big box liquor stores, where you can buy the little bottles that they have, like first class flying. You get the little bottles, of liquor. And that way you don't have to buy a big expensive bottle of cognac or brandy. Just go to one of those stores and they have just about every kind of liquor in the small bottles that are about. Brian, I'm telling you, you got to get to dialysis soon. Here's the little bottle. See the little one? They're like they use in the airlines in first class.
Brian's so
And
helpful
that's the-
today.
Thank you. Oh yeah, when I did my other show, he did all the prepping. Okay, so That's what we buy. So you don't have to spend money on a big bottle of brandy you're not going to use or cognac. Okay, then you're going to add, now this is where you have an option. You can do a slurry. And for those of you that haven't heard me describe it, a slurry like our grandmothers used to make is flour in water or flour in broth. And you make sure that you dissolve it. I use a little whip to dissolve it. And you use that to thicken it if you don't want to use heavy cream. But you can use, I prefer heavy cream for this because it's a French dish, heavy in cream and heavy in butter. And by the way, but do you need me? Are they here for you? Okay, so remember me saying that the French don't have high cholesterol, do not have heart disease like the US, and do not have diabetes, and they eat a lot of fat. And so that is a lot of butter, but it's all healthy, remember. In the US, we have to be careful because if it's not fully organic, you've got an issue. Okay? So just remember that. So you can use the heavy cream, which would be 3/4 of a cup, or use 3/4 of a cup of either a chicken broth. It's already dissolved if you're using the reduction like I buy in the jar. And then you can use like almond milk, or you can use chicken broth, or you can use any other kind of milk alternative. Almond would be the best if you're not going to use cream. And then dissolve your flour enough. And the flour is about, in this recipe, I use 2 tablespoons of the flour. I didn't put that in there. I just said, or make a flour slurry. And you can always make more. If it gets to where you want a thicker gravy, like I like, you can make the gravy in the pan. If it needs to be a little thicker, make a little bit more slurry, or add a little bit more heavy cream. You're gonna cook it until it reduces a little bit, and then add your Dijon mustard, and only use Dijon. Yellow mustard doesn't work. It's 1 tablespoon of Dijon.
Now,
And
if you
so when that
wanted to
is,
use powdered powdered mustard, could you use that if you didn't have Dijon?
no,
Okay.
it's not
so
the
you have to
same.
have
Like the
Dijon.
Coleman's, I use a lot of Coleman's. Yeah, that's a good comment, Tracy. Good question. No, it's not the same. I think it's because the Dijon has wine, so it has a different flavor, a different consistency. So Dijon is the best. I guess if you don't have it, use what you have in the powdered would be better, to Tracy's point, than the French's mustard type that you use for hot dogs. That would not do well. But if you had to use another mustard, you could use the powdered, yes. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Dijon is different. Yeah, very different. And then make sure that you let it bubble enough that it's cooked. It starts getting thick. And then you can decide, are you going to put, I like putting the mushrooms back in, letting it bubble just a little bit. You're not going to recook the mushrooms. And when the sauce is thick, you're ready to serve it. Serve it with a little bit of parsley on top, chopped parsley, or capers is really good on it too. If you want a little bit of a tartness, capers on top is amazing serving it. Especially when you take the gills out of the mushroom, it's its own little plate. So it's really cool. Or if it's up, if the gills are right side up, if you've got the mushroom with the button part on the top, then you slice it like a steak, like the picture showed in my recipe. Okay.
Question.
So how are you ladies doing? Yes.
I have a question. So
Go ahead.
I put the mushroom and the cauliflower back in the pan in the sauce. So now do we baste that with the sauce?
Yeah, just keep basting it. Yes, good point. Keep basting it so that you get the flavor. And then once it comes to is it thick already, Magda? Did the sauce get thick?
Yeah.
Okay, so once your sauce is thickened, then just keep basting it and just let it come to a very, very low bubble.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you want the steak that's cauliflower a little bit crunchy, take it out earlier. Test it with a fork. As you all know, I have trouble chewing because of my jaw. So I have to lightly steam the cauliflower if I'm making a cauliflower instead of portobello. Not to where it's mushy like you would be making mashed potatoes or or cauliflower rice, but we steam it just enough where it starts getting tender. Then I use it for this, because if I steam it too much, it falls apart. Okay, so it just depends on how crunchy you want it. So you might want to take your mushroom out first, Magda, leave some sauce in the pan, and then continue to cook your cauliflower if it's not the consistency you like. If you like it a little crunchy,
Yeah,
no
I
problem.
do, and it's perfect like that.
Okay,
So should I
okay,
turn off
good.
the heat? Should I
Pardon?
turn off the heat now?
Yes, if it is it gentle bubbly?
It's good.
Okay, yeah, turn off the heat and go ahead and plate it and serve it, or take a chunk of it and serve it. Jill, how are you doing?
It's coming along. It's just a little slower, but it's looking delicious.
Okay, and Sandy, you're awful
I'm
quiet,
almost,
Sandy.
mine's almost done.
And Nancy
I
has a
love it.
question, Gloria.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I was just wondering if you're using cauliflower. You said steam it and not real soft, but then how do you make the, do you use that squishy thing you said, or to make it
The
a
what?
patty, or what are you doing with the cauliflower? I'm
No,
just
you're
curious.
just slicing it a nice thick slice.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you don't want it, then you just slice it a thick slice. And just when the fork starts getting to where you can put it in easily, then that's enough steaming. Then you can go ahead and cook it just like you would the portobello.
Oh, okay,
If you
thank
cook
you.
it too much, it'll become mashed potatoes or cauliflower rice. Okay. Yeah.
Got it. I wasn't
So you just want
comprehending
it,
what we were doing.
yeah, lightly steamed if you don't want it crunchy. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Linda, did you have a question, or how you doing? You're welcome, hon. How you doing?
Well, I was gonna ask, I didn't do the sauce, and I may need an intervention here. Tracy.
Okay.
I mean, one of the things I've always, I was like Tracy back when, where I cut out all my fats, no fat. And through all of this training, I've started eating fat again. I mean, I can't use coconut oil now, but I use a lot of olive oil, grapeseed oil, and butter, the grass-fed butter. So I introduced
Right.
that all. But so that meant I was never I never put those extra calories of gravies or sauces. And even my husband's like, he doesn't want gravy. So I guess you're the saucy person and I'm like the not saucy.
I'm the saucy person. I can tell you exactly what to do. What do you use to thicken a sauce? If you were going to make a gravy or something that you were going to thicken, what would you use? Arrowroot, maybe?
Well, probably like the only time I make gravy is at Thanksgiving, because I host Thanksgiving and I make gravy for other people, but I use some of the fat from the turkey.
Right.
And then
Right.
Milk, some kind of milk.
Okay. All right. So here's what you can do if you don't want to use any flour or any arrowroot, because remember, arrowroot is not a flour. If you want to use arrowroot to thicken it, or you don't choose to do that, make more of the garlic butter sauce. Just make more of it. Put more butter. You can add, at the end, you can add a really good olive oil, but don't cook with it on a high temperature. And go ahead and just make a butter garlic sauce. That's all you have to do, because can you do the brandy? Can you do a dash of brandy?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could.
Okay, so if you put a dash of brandy, you're still going to get a garlic butter sauce with that flavor, that French flavor, without having to make a slurry or put any other flour. Does that help?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Or you just make the mushroom and then just pour the sauce over it, because you made it in the same pan.
Okay, but let's go back and address the root cause. Are
What are you
you
talking
still
about?
not eating fat, Linda?
I'm back to eating. No, I am eating
She's
fat
back
now.
to eating it.
I'm back, but it's just I got away from doing like gravies I don't do flour.
Okay, but you don't have to use flour to thicken things. You can use arrowroot.
Yeah,
And
have
that's great.
And I've used
Okay, so you can do
xanthan
that.
gum, and So you don't like xanthan gum for some reason, but it
No,
does.
I don't, because it becomes gummy when you're trying to make a nice creamy sauce. It's really good for some things, but I don't have luck with it. So that's
Oh,
okay. That's
okay.
your choice.
Well, I'll
But I
try
don't like it
arrowroot.
because I want it real creamy. I don't want it sticky.
Well, the way I
Okay,
do
so
it
where are
isn't
we?
that way? But anyway, I'm glad that you eat fat again, because I know I came from that whole thing that fat is fat, and my body was not healthy then. My body's
That's
very
right.
healthy now, but I eat, butter and but let me
Yeah,
ask
you eat all
one
the good
thing.
fats.
Be careful of grapeseed oil, because it is a seed oil, which means it's very high in omega-6 fatty acids, as
Yes,
is your protein sources. And you want to balance
right.
your omega-3s and your omega-6s. So I never cook with any seed oil ever. I only use, well, right now I pretty much use either avocado oil or butter. But
Or
butter
coconut.
is my favorite because it's very high in vitamin A, and not the beta carotene type of vitamin A, but another form of vitamin A, which is really good for your immune system. So,
Right. And you're right about the omega-6. I mean, it induces inflammation. It's not healthy for a lot of reasons. I only use the grapeseed oil when we're doing, which is twice a year, when we're doing a really deep frying dish, because it works better for that because it's such a high temperature. But it's been like twice in the last year that we've experimented with recipes with it. But that's another subject. But yeah, Tracy's right. It's very high in omega-6. So you could be doing everything else right, and then you're messing up by doing the omega-6s, which is not healthy for you. I hope that helps.
well,
Okay,
and
we're
sorry, but it's also about being your own health detective, to steal Dr. Gloria's thing, that if you're not, we need to dig deep and see what is causing inflammation in our body. And so,
Well, yeah, that goes, I mean, because we're working to find underlying causes in everything that I do. But she's on a very limited special diet, so I don't want to go into that.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that was, I wanted to make sure to give her a good suggestion that arrowroot is something that you can use to thicken if you don't want to use any kind of a flour alternative.
Yeah.
Okay, Sandy, how you doing? Yeah, Linda?
It's delicious.
Yay!
So do you have enough? Hold on, Linda. Do you have enough sauce? Did it make enough sauce for you?
Yeah,
And how did you add the brandy? Oh, there
Yeah.
it is. Okay, and you can't taste the brandy, can you?
nope.
Yeah, you shouldn't be tasting the brandy. It should just be a nice rich sauce. It gives it that depth of flavor. You shouldn't be tasting the brandy itself. Okay,
No, I
so
don't.
it's good, Sandy. Do I
Oh,
get a
it's
5 out of 5 for that
wonderful.
one?
No, I like that.
Okay. Okay, so now let's go to Magda for a minute.
Yeah, here I am.
And did you try both of them?
Yes, they're both delicious.
And
I love it.
so how do you like the crunchiness of the cauliflower the way you did it?
I like it because I don't like mushy cauliflower. I like it a little bit firm. So it's great like this.
Okay, see? Okay, good. So that's good to know. And I wouldn't, mine isn't mushy, but it is steamed for
Yeah.
obvious reasons, and I can't chew the other. Okay, good. And did you get plenty of flavor in the sauce?
Yeah, it's delicious. Thank
Okay, good. All right, so we've got, Jill, are you done yet before I go back to Linda?
I'm just putting it on my plate, so go to Linda for a minute.
Okay, Linda, go ahead, hon, with a quick question.
Yeah, I know the high heat oils, that's why I was using the grapeseed oil, because I can't do avocado and I can't do coconut. Are there any other high heat oils?
There is a whole
are not-
handout that we did. There's a whole
Wow.
ebook I did on that, a whole
Okay.
handout.
I
Yeah, and we already published that. So look for it, because I talk about the temperature, the high heat ones, the ones that aren't high heat, and we already published that. I don't remember when, but there's all about the oils. So look for that, and then it'll give you some ideas of what else you can use.
What about ghee?
Okay, like
Ghee has a very
ghee is
high smoke,
wonderful.
450.
Yeah, It does. And the other thing that's real high smoke that's very healthy is pecan oil. And like I said, I live in Texas. I had never had pecan oil till I bought it here, and it's amazing. It's great just raw on salads because it has that nice, very gently sweet flavor. But when you cook with it, it doesn't have the sweet flavor, and it's very healthy. If you look up the benefits of pecan oil, I should probably write an article about it. It's amazing. It's many benefits, if not more, as olive oil in its good form. But you can cook with pecan oil, and it tells you the studies they've done if you look up the reports on pecan oil. So it's not cheap, but it's really good for you. Okay.
So pecan's
All right.
not
We're
considered a seed? I know
Pardon?
some nuts are considered seeds, so pecan's not considered a seed.
It's
not
a
as
nut.
far as I know.
A pecan
It's not, is
is a
it?
nut,
Nice.
but
Well,
I would rather, I try and see what you're able to have with your, special program. But when
Yeah.
I cook with heat, it would be ghee.
Okay.
And even like ghee is getting caught up now. Like even Costco had ghee in a big old jar,
Yes.
and it had ghee spray, like pan spray.
Yeah.
So I know that ghee is gaining in popularity. So
Well, and to your point, so is pure organic, free-ranged, no chemicals added lard. And that is all in the thing about oils that I put in. I even put the link that tells you where you can buy it. There's only one farm I have found, and a doctor friend of mine actually found it, and we've ordered it. It's amazing. Comes in big glass jars, and it's pure lard made from animals that are not treated with anything. It tells you the whole history. So we'll have to look for that handout because I made a whole little booklet on it, and
Is
it's
it
about the
on-
oils. I think
is it on the blog? Oh, wait, you have here. I found it. I will,
it should, you found it?
yeah, I'll
You'll put the link there.
that.
Yeah, because I know we've already published it. So that should help you, Linda. Okay? So don't be afraid of lard. You have to be afraid of lard. You have to, yeah, we are. Oh,
Jill.
goodness gracious. That looks amazing. So you did one with the gills up and one with the gills down.
Yes.
Okay, so take a taste of each. Are you going to eat it now?
I am gonna try it right
Take-
now. I'm gonna cut a bite off.
Take a taste and
Has
tell us the difference. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, with her flair.
Yeah.
Tracy, do you have our special surprise ready after we're done with this? To
What's it,
put up
what,
on the
remind
screen?
me what it's called? Cause I have. Which one? Oh, I know, the
Cashews?
cashew cream.
Okay,
Okay,
don't do it yet. Yeah.
okay, I gotta
So
upload
I'm
it.
trying the one that I de-gilled.
Okay.
Mm.
De-gilled.
Mm.
See, she does this flair when
This
she
stuff
tastes it.
is so
How is
great.
it?
Oh, it's
Is
delicious.
the sauce really good?
The sauce is, yum. You are
I
a
know, I told
sausage
you, I
girl, and
put it
must
on
be too.
roasted chicken and everything else,
Mm.
I've even put it on fish.
Mm.
Okay, now try the one that has the gills.
Will do.
Remember, those are the little
The little
vertical,
pieces
I don't
inside
know.
that look
Just
like
think
a
of gills
fan.
on a fish.
Yep, they look like a fan in the middle of a fan, all the blades.
They do, thank you. That's a good description. They look like a fan.
Mm.
So tell me if you can tell the difference and what the difference is. Your words, not mine.
Mm-hmm. So it does have a richer, deeper flavor. The other one, you might even trick someone to wondering what they were eating with the gills removed.
Uh-huh.
With the
Right.
gills in,
It tastes more like it could be a piece of
mushroom.
meat.
Yes,
Okay.
it's delicious.
See, I
You
said
did
earthy.
great again.
Remember I said earthy. When it has
Yeah,
the gills,
earthy is a
it's got
good
the
word.
earthy flavor. When it doesn't, you could literally slice it like a nice, Chateaubriand or something. You could slice it, put it on a platter with the sauce, and they would have to take a bite or two before they'd realize it's not meat. It's that good. And usually it's served that way, like in places like Ruth Chris's Steakhouse. That's how they serve it.
I
They
think
serve the mushrooms that way, and they serve
ahead.
the meat that way, the Chateaubriand especially. Yes?
I think, I like to sometimes speak about the high altitude. In this case, because I wanted to really keep up with you girls. I would have started my mushrooms a little sooner and got them more browned and a little bit crispier than I did. They got pretty good, but I
Okay.
think I would have given them a little bit more time. Just because it's high altitude, it does
That's a
take
good-
longer to boil water. It takes so much longer, but it's just
Oh, God,
delicious
do
as
I know.
always.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's great. Magda, is it a 5 out of a 5 today since you did both of them?
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
you
you
so much.
put something in the chat, but I couldn't read it quick enough because I was listening to Jill. So,
I could.
okay.
I love this recipe. Going to serve it with dinner for dinner tonight with a nice salad.
Thank you. Usually she says that. Then she sends me a message and says, we couldn't wait. We had it for lunch.
Yeah,
So
probably happened
sometimes she
today,
doesn't
too.
wait till dinner. That could happen today. Okay. So thank you everybody for your cooking and your input and your suggestions, because that's invaluable to all of us, including me. We never learn enough. Sandy, good deal? You're good to go?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, okay. She's got that smile on her face. Okay, I talked a while back. I think it was when Jorgen was on the call, and too bad he's gone. But I'm hoping his holiday away was fantastic. I talked about giving you a recipe for dairy-free cream cheese. Well, I went ahead and finished the recipe. I make it all the time, but I had to put it in a format that Tracy could work with, and send it to Tracy, and she very graciously had it put like in a recipe card. You want to show it? It's so simple. It's like 3 ingredients, and make it just like the recipe, and it's cream cheese. It's like a chèvre if you had a goat milk chèvre cheese or a thick cream cheese. It's delicious. Has no milk, no dairy. And so if I have too much of the regular cheese, I get a lot of phlegm. Look at the ingredients. A tablespoon of miso, or if you don't want to do or can't do miso, you use a tablespoon of non-dairy yogurt. Now, if you can do miso, do it with miso because it's very different. Then you take cashews, about 2 cups as it says, soak them overnight. That's what I do. And then strain the water all out. And then you're going to take a half a cup of water. Now, here's what I did. When I soaked my cashews, of course, I always use filtered water because that's all you're going to get it in a PDF. So you don't have to take a picture. Tracy's going to, you can take a picture if you want, but Tracy's going to make it available. That's why she did it in a
Whoops,
format like
shoot.
this for me. Whoops.
Sorry, I just
And
lost
so
it.
what I did, the first time I strained the cashews and threw the water away. And I thought, well, that was silly because the water has the flavor of the cashews that have been soaking. So if you use filtered water, don't throw the water away. Just measure the half a cup. Are you able to get it back up?
I'm trying. Something's wrong with my computer.
That's okay. It's a half a cup. So, whoops,
Hold on.
that isn't it.
There.
There you go. So for that half a cup of water that you're going to blend in your high-speed blender, just use the water, half a cup of the water that you soak the cashews in when you strain them. It's that easy. You put a pinch of salt, place it in your Vitamix or your food processor, put it in a glass jar. Do not put it in plastic. Cover it well. And I always put a piece of plastic wrap first and then the lid. I use a canning jar usually. And let the cheese ferment at room temperature for about 12 to 36 hours. What you should do after 12 hours is taste it. Open the jar, taste it and go, no, I want it a little sharper. You're actually making a marinated cheese, much like your chèvres are made. And then if you want to do it more, do it for about 36 hours on the countertop. After that, you must refrigerate it because it will go bad if you don't. And so it thickens and develops air pockets in the culture. It's like making a sourdough starter, but you're making cheese. And the warmer environment and longer cultured time presents that real sharp flavor. Well, I love like sharp, extra sharp cheddar cheese. So I leave mine about 36 hours, but I taste it in between. because depending on the weather, the humidity, the altitude, Jill, it's going to change. So don't just automatically leave it for 36 hours. Taste it after 12 hours and taste it maybe after another few hours. And then when you get it just the way you want it, then you're going to get a nice sharp flavor. And then you just literally after fermenting, you blend it again. You blend it at a high speed for about a minute, add a little bit more water if you need to. So I saved the water from the cashews. I didn't throw it down the sink when I strained them. I put them in a little jar, left them in the refrigerator. And then that's what I added if it's not creamy enough. If you want it thick, like a thick cream cheese, you probably won't add any more water. If you want it a little thinner, that's easier to spread, then you would want to add more of the water. And that's it. You blend until the mixture resembles a real silky smooth texture, and you don't have any dairy in it. So I was having too much dairy and I was getting a lot of phlegm. And that happens when I get to where I love a certain brand of organic, extra sharp cheddar cheese. I was having too much on everything, omelets and salads, and it's just too much. So I had made this years ago and couldn't find the recipe. Finally found it and gave it to Tracy, and she worked her magic along with Roxy, and we got it done. So try it and let me know on the next class, because this is a little bonus today for all of you, so that you can download it and make a delicious. I mean, you serve it to people on a gluten-free toast point, or on a I like it on celery. You know, you stuff the celery with it, and nobody can tell the difference. I mean, I've served it to people and they didn't know it wasn't regular cream cheese. So try it and let us know. Comments, questions? No? You're going to try it? Is it something you can have, Linda?
I can't do cashews.
Okay, you can't do cashews. Okay, so anybody else have questions, comments? No? It looks like Dawn is in the kitchen cooking now.
What
Egged
what
up.
was the,
Are you
what was
cooking,
the
Dawn?
first,
Sandy has a
What
question.
was the what?
what was the first ingredient, but, and not the yogurt?
Miso.
Miso.
Oh, miso.
1 tablespoon of
Miso?
white miso.
Okay, thank you.
MISO. And she'll put the where are you going to put it? How are
I
they going
will
to
put it
download
on the
it?
chatty chat.
Okay, so that you can all download it. Okay, and then print it out.
It's
So
raw
simple.
cashews, right?
Raw.
Raw
I know.
cashews. Yeah.
Tracy already answered me, but I don't know if everybody saw that. Okay,
Good
thank
question.
you. Thank you for the
Dawn,
recipe.
were you cooking?
No, I have a little situation. My freezer decided to not stop working. And so I'm transferring. I went out and I bought a bunch of dry ice, and I've got a bunch of coolers, and I'm
Right.
transferring things because I can't get anybody out to my house to work on it until tomorrow. So
Yep, typical of the summer. Yeah, just like air conditioners, right? They can't come right out. Well, good. Okay, well, sorry that happened, but thanks for joining us. That was
Well, I
nice
wanted
of
to
you in the
hear-
middle of all of that.
I
Good,
always want
thank
to hear
you.
what you got to
And
say.
please, all of you, try the cheese because it's so healthy, especially when I made it in my cooking classes before. Parents and grandparents loved it for their children and grandchildren. They couldn't have dairy, or they've got a lot of mucus or a lot of sinus infections or a lot of ear infections, because I had a son like that, my youngest. And when you give them dairy, it just makes it worse. So if you can give them something and, stuff some little pieces of a vegetable like celery, or put it on little carrot rounds, the kids will eat it and it's delicious. And there again, if you wanted to add chives, I did. If you wanted to add some rosemary and thyme, just make sure they're not in chunks. If it's not rosemary and thyme powder, if it's just the herb, use your little coffee grinder or however you're grinding it, so that you don't have chunks in the cheese. You want it to just be powdered. Okay? Okay. Any other comments? Did you enjoy that? Was it a way
Yes.
that you hadn't prepared it before? Okay, good, good. Okay, Tracy, thank you so much for doing what you did for us for a surprise, and then having our famous, talented Roxy lay it out for us in a nice little recipe card format.
welcome.
So thank you, everybody. Love all of you. It's so much fun to
Thank
be
you.
with all of our
Thank
Galloping
you.
Gourmets.
Love you guys.
You're
Love
welcome.
you.
You
Have a
guys.
great
Yep.
week.
Next week,
Uh,
we have
what-
cauliflower fritters.
Ooh.
So
yum.
Yes.
Yum.
sounds crispy and yummy and something that would be a great appetizer for a summer party. So we'll see you
Right.
guys.
And if you
have a-
can't chew well, steam them a little bit. Steam them until the fork goes in if you can't chew well before we start making the fritters, okay? That's what I have to do. So, Dawn, good luck with your freezer issue, sweetie. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Okay.
Appetite, everyone.
Ready?
Bye.
Thank
Later.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.